Many families try to work their way up from poverty only to find new barriers to independence. Helping them make the transition is a national program called the Family Independence Initiative. The branch for Greater Boston invites more people to learn about the program at an event June 4th in Jamaica Plain. And doing that tonight are the initiative's site director for Greater Boston, Jessica Taubner, and family liaison, Crystal Murphy. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you.
I want to start with Crystal because you've had two roles with the FII so far, now as a liaison, before as a family partner. So how did this all get started?
Well, I was introduced by a friend who is actually now a coworker of mine. But she, like all other families, they do a referral process and they share their experience about FII with other families, and that's how I was brought on board. Through my partnership, I was able to accomplish a lot of goals. With my group, we met monthly for a few hours at a time. And we shared goals. We had our children there, and we just really built really strong connections and relationships, and we worked as a team to accomplish our goals.
Jessica, the strategy here, it has to do with resources of the members themselves and accountability. How does that work?
Sure. First, I'll give sort of big picture that ultimately FII is a partnership between staff and families to disprove the false stereotypes that we have been indoctrinated with about who those living in poverty are. You know, we've heard them all: poor, lazy, on the take. And so we partner with families to disprove those stereotypes and ultimately to change the system so that government and philanthropists and private business start investing directly and trusting in families and their initiatives. And so we do that, as Crystal mentioned, with a 2-year partnership with families. They enroll, they meet in cohorts, and they self-select those groups. They self-select their community, and the community keeps each other accountable. It goes back to what we know to be true, that communities have the answers and the solutions to their problems. We just sort of need to get out of the way and then provide investment in it.
Crystal, going back to when you get started, what kind of answers were you looking for?
I was looking for, ways to figure out how I could finish school, answers on how I could obtain a full-time job with the Boston Public School system at that time. And I needed support from other females, actually. I'm the only girl in my family, so I have 4 older brothers, and being in this group allowed me to be able to lean on other women who were going through the same struggles, and they had the same goals, and we just worked on it together.
So how did they help you find that job with the school system?
That's a great question. Actually, one of the women in my group, she was working with Boston Public Schools at the time, and she gave a referral for me. And she said, I know a woman who's been interested in working with Boston Public Schools for a very long time, and she passed my name along, and I interviewed, and I was hired.
Jessica, that's one example of resources that are within the partnerships here, but give me some other examples of resources that people
Sure. So there's the resources that exist within the community, just the talent and the smarts and the connections that communities have. It's no different in any communities. We often turn, I'm sure you can think of examples where you turn to your social network for advice on a job or a connection to a business you wanted to look for to improve your lawn, for example. We're always referring to our network for information and advice and support. And so that happens in terms of savings programs, in lending circles, in access to childcare, in business programs, in different classes that people take. And then FII sort of matches and invests in that initiative by providing up to $1,200 a year in unrestricted capital to families for the 2-year partnership. So a total of $2,400 at the end of the 2 years is available to families to use towards whatever their personal and or community goals are.
This is BNN News. We're talking with Crystal Murphy and Jessica Taubner from the Family Independence Initiative. Crystal, going back to your own experiences, you got the job at the Boston Public Schools. I guess that helped you continue the education. Was it as simple as that?
No, it wasn't simple, but that's kind of how it went. So I went from being on welfare before to, tripling and quadrupling my income. And that was one of my goals. And I was also able to finish my bachelor's degree at Pine Manor College, just with the support and the financial support through FII. And I was able to, pay for my classes and cap and gown and those great things.
You know, you're juggling a lot there. You got family responsibilities, you got school, you got work. What was the most difficult part of it?
I wouldn't say it was difficult. I see things through as goals and challenges, but I'm always looking towards the end. So I wouldn't say it was challenging at all or difficult. I just kept my goal as the focus and just worked hard towards it.
You know, if I may, I think Crystal's highlighting a really important part, and part of the values and the approach that FI has is that we're an asset-based organization. We don't provide services, we don't provide programs, we don't provide help. We know that families are already doing incredible things in their communities, and we're lifting up those stories. And so, yes, do all families face challenges? Of course. But there's also these other wonderful things that are happening that we don't get told about. And so FII partners with families to lift up those stories that are happening. And our system has been based on these stereotypes about who those living with low incomes are. And so we're partnering to shift those structures to asset-based, to say, hey, what are all the amazing things you're doing? Let's create space for that. Let's get out of the way, let that flourish, and provide direct capital investment for it.
This is BNN News. We're talking with Crystal Murphy and Jessica Taubner from the Family Independence Initiative. Crystal, one thing that I've experienced in a totally different context is that there are things I thought I couldn't do, but I was, within earshot of someone who did it. I said, well, God, I guess I better do that. And sure enough, I was. What's that like when you're with these other women and you're trying to do what they're doing? Yeah,
I mean, I see it all the time with our families. There's a lot of peer role modeling going on, and our families are really inspired by each other's stories. So I've seen folks, who were really interested in starting a business. For example, one of our family partners, Jessica Withers, she was really interested in starting her own business, but she didn't know where to start. She didn't know, where to begin or who to talk to, but she found some folks within FII, and they had already started a business, and she became more inspired to start her own. So now she has this really successful exercise business that she does, personal fitness, and she's blossoming every day. And we have other families who are doing the same thing just by watching each other.
Well, I'm sure that there's much more to hear. And Jessica, there's an event on Monday, so could tell our viewers about this if they want to hear some more?
Sure. This coming Monday, June 4th at Bella Luna Restaurant in Jamaica Plain in the Brewery Complex. We'll be there from 6 to 8. It's our first ever community Friendraiser. It's an event for folks who are already supporters and are aware of it. It's for folks who are really interested, and hopefully their interest was piqued tonight. Come, connect, learn about the pillars of FII, and build connections with the folks that are doing the work.
Thank you both very much, Jessica Taubner and Crystal Murphy from the Family Independence Initiative.
Thanks so much.